Is Tuesday, September 5th, 2017. If you want to follow us on Twitter, please go to Catex TV. Well, there's a new hurricane threatening the American East Coast and possibly the Gulf of Mexico. Hurricane Irma, which we've been keeping an eye on, has now officially been classified as a Category 5 storm, the highest possible categorization. Its maximum sustained winds as of 8 o'clock this morning have increased to 175 miles per hour. It's centered about 270 miles east of Antigua and moving west at about 14 miles per hour. It's possibly going to be a rain-making storm in addition to its winds that could dump about 10 inches of rain, as well as generating waves of up to 23 feet in height. The governor of Puerto Rico has declared an imminent state of emergency, as well as the U.S. Virgin Islands and all of South Florida. The Puerto Rican governor warned that all decisions taken in the next couple of hours could make a difference between life and death. Right now, the models project that the storm is going to pass slightly to the north of Cuba before it makes a turn or goes straight. If it goes straight, it could go into the Gulf of Mexico. If it makes a turn, it could possibly begin to come up the U.S. East Coast. This is a dangerous storm, and everybody is watching it closely. The exposure of Lloyd's of London to Hurricane Harvey could put the market into its first full-year underwriting loss since 2011. Last year, because of years of compound rate decreases, Lloyd delivered only about a 97.9% combined ratio. The number of syndicates that posted an underwriting loss rose substantially from 26 back in 2015 all the way up to 42 last year, representing about 47% of the market. Elevated loss ratios were the main contributing factor. 36% recorded loss ratio increases of more than 10 percentage points year on year. Now, with the losses from Hurricane Harvey possibly affecting the energy market, that's what has Lloyd's concerned. The upstream sector appears to have escaped major claims, but there are potentially business interruption claims. The storm, which made landfall close to Rockport near Corpus Christi, did significant damage to the oil infrastructure. The top concern is the largest oil refinery in the U.S., which is the Motiva Port Arthur facility, which is insured in the downstream energy market. It produces 340,000 barrels of oil a day. It's a joint project between Royal Dutch Shell and Saudi Aramco. It's still closed. It's not known when it's going to open again. 9 oil refineries in Texas have been fully shut down, representing 13% of U.S. oil refining capacity. That explains why price increases in the U.S. have already been seen by as much as 35 cents a gallon. For a big proportion of these companies, their retention on business interruption is self-insured. However, there's a concern at Lloyd's that depending upon getting spare parts and access to the plants and damage to other infrastructure to help repair the plants, it could trickle into the insurance market. Global reinsurance rates are likely to fall by up to 7.5% at the January 18 renewals. This is according to ratings agencies. Reinsurance rates have been falling for several years due to competition in the sector, mainly the introduction of alternative capital. Hurricane Harvey may have caused up to $20 billion of insured losses, but it's not enough to reverse the trend. Dennis Segru, the director at S&P Global, said you need to see a bigger cat event to really have some impact on prices. Moody's said also this week that Harvey was unlikely to affect property reinsurance rates, and Fitch said that rates may fall up to 7.5%. Fitch said it very much depends on what happens during the rest of the hurricane season. He said, Graham Coots at Fitch said if Hurricane Irma was to hit Florida, then you might see a flatter renewal. Well, he may get his wish. Interestingly enough, Novae Syndicate, which was just acquired by Axis, has decided to stay in the U.S. property cat reinsurance business after all. Perhaps they know something we don't. With the advent now of Hurricane Harvey and then possibly Hurricane Irma, there might be a feeling that the rates are going to go up. Meanwhile, over the weekend, North Korea exploded what could be a hydrogen bomb. This, of course, has prompted a new round of escalating comments between the United States, the Security Council, North Korea, China, and Vladimir Putin. The Security Council of the United Nations is scheduled to meet this morning in New York Donald Trump is publicly tweeting about possibly cutting off trade with all countries that do business with North Korea, which of course is a bullseye squarely on China. If the United States was to cut off all trade with China, it would plunge the United States and most of the world into a global recession. That's the news for today. We'll keep an eye on Hurricane Irma. If anything changes, we'll come back and tell